You ever step outside your own front door and get told by some guy in a cheap jacket that you're breaking the law just by breathing your own air? Because, yeah, that happened. It was maybe a minute after 8, my daughter Leah with her bowl of dog food halfway through the porch light, when the HOA's rent-a-cop shined his flashlight right in her face like he was deputized by some secret neighborhood SWAT team. You're in violation of curfew. Step back inside immediately. Man, the way he said it, you'd think she was a trespasser, not a kid on her own stoop. So I walked out, didn't rush, didn't shout, just leveled with him. She's 16, she's feeding the dog, she's on our property. The guy just smirked, parroted curfew's 8. HOA Rule 14C, she's in breach. I almost laughed, but instead I let him know I built half the electrical grid here, buddy. That motion sensor you're so proud of still routes through a mesh node I installed back when they actually let real professionals work on the place. You want to quote codes, you better check your firmware first. And that right there is where it started. If you've ever stood up to a bully, you know that rush. It's like flipping a breaker and seeing the whole street light up. My name's Jordan Hale. I've been an electrician longer than most of these enforcers have had a driver's license. In this house, every inch of it still breathes my late wife's design. The porch, the lights, the welded railings. When cancer took her, she made me promise our daughter would never come home to darkness again. But these HOA folks, led by Patricia Elwood, decided to turn our whole community into some kind of suburbia boot camp, dreaming up curfews, posting private guards, scaring kids for community safety. First, I let it slide. I figured, hey, it's a phase, it'll pass. But the night they came for Leah said she wasn't allowed outside on her own porch after 8. That's when they crossed a line they couldn't redraw. See, Leah's barely finding her footing. 2 years she spent inside sick, fighting for her life, afraid of her own shadow. That porch was her finish line, you know? And here comes Patricia waving her flashlight, erasing it in the name of some rule nobody ever voted on. You ever see a kid's confidence shatter? Hurts worse than any fine or citation. I didn't make a scene, just walked Leah back in, let the rent-a-cop do his little strut talking about reporting us to the board. But I wasn't going to let it drop. I'd already printed every bylaw the day Patricia rolled out her youth safety memo. There's nothing in there about curfews, just a bunch of slippery language about minors and behavior after sundown, which is legalese for we do what we want. And I'd seen that gray box by our conduit last week, an unregistered sensor piggybacking power straight from the communal grid. That's theft, plain and simple. That night as Leah stirred her tea, both hands shaking, I made up my mind. I wasn't going to fight this in the comment section or by pleading with Patricia for fairness. I was going to follow the wires, find the leaks, and call in the only authority. HOA leaders can't bully the city. Next morning I played it. Low-key walked the blocks, took note. Funny thing about fear, it spreads faster than gossip. 3 doors down, the Alvarez family had blackout blinds, porch lights off. Mrs. Alvarez whispered through the crack, "We're avoiding trouble." They threatened fines if the boys went outside. 2 blocks over, the Keegans, good folks, their daughters got special needs, had a typed note on the window, "No minors outside after 8 p.m. per HOA guidance." Not law, not even a real rule, but everybody obeyed. Back in my garage, I started mapping it out. Who had teenagers? Who had new sensors, retirees, and empty nesters? No problem. But any house with a kid under surveillance, that wasn't about safety, that was targeting. By noon, I was at the park where Leah used to play as a toddler. Empty. Just swings moving in the wind. I spotted another dad, Tom, watching the playground like he was on sentry duty. "They told my daughter to go inside," he said before I could even say hello. She was walking their dog. She's 9. Patricia called it a pilot enforcement model. No vote, no authority, but everyone's scared stiff. That's how control works. People don't believe the rule is right, they just believe nobody else will stand with them. So I dug deeper, checked HOA public filings. No board vote, no timestamp, just Patricia's name on every policy update like she was Queen of Rose Glen Ridge. And that was just the start. I cross-referenced the installation dates on the new sensors with the HOA's electrical permits. Surprise, surprise, no permits, no licensed contractor, nothing but a rat's nest of wires tapping directly into shared panels. And if even one of those devices shorts or worse, if they're using them to record kids, now we're talking about child protective services, privacy law, and criminal tampering. You know what I mean? I showed up at the next HOA meeting, sat in the back, arms crossed. Patricia launched into her youth safety initiative numbers about reduced loitering, fake stats. I stood up. What legal basis do you have for enforcing curfews on private property? She tried to shut me down, but the room was listening now. Even Franklin, the board secretary, only one up there who looked like he remembered what a conscience was, wouldn't meet my eye. Afterwards, Franklin caught me outside. Gave me a folded work order, no license, just Patricia's signature. Ask yourself why the clubhouse draws more power than it should, he said. Then ask who wired it. It was his way of saying, I'm with you, just can't show it. That's when the twist hit. I found a second sensor on the walking trail disguised as a lantern. It was sloppily wired drawing power from a city-maintained circuit municipal fraud, if anyone cared to look. And this one wasn't just a motion detector. It had a microphone, active broadcasting. Not just tampering now, it was illegal surveillance. I called Ruben, an old friend who consults for the city, sent him the photos, the scans, the lot. If you're right, he said this is grounds for forced shutdown. And if they're recording minors, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. From there, it was like unraveling a sweater. 5 more sensors, each one a different flavor of illegal, all mapped out, documented. But the big one, the pool fence box, was transmitting audio, and I picked up my daughter's voice, Leah just saying, I live here. And the woman's voice, Patricia's enforcer telling her she wasn't allowed outside. That's the moment it stopped being about curfew and became about trauma. With evidence in hand, I filed the formal complaint to the city, attached every photo scan work order. Next morning, the inspectors rolled in unannounced. No warning to Patricia. They flagged the wiring, the sensors, even the back-end relay connecting all those devices to a private network. Patricia tried to bluster, threatened defamation, played the victim. But the inspectors didn't blink. The law's the law. Crowds started to gather as the city bagged up hardware. Patricia's grip just wilted. Her power drained with every wire clipped. And when Ms. Trujillo City Compliance listed off the violations in front of half the neighborhood, you could feel the fear turn into anger, not at me, at her. Franklin stepped up at the emergency meeting that night. Most of these policies were enacted without board approval. I went along with it because I was scared, but I was wrong. I put a motion on the table vote of no confidence. Someone seconded, then a third. Patricia stood there looking lost, no one coming to her defense. She resigned the next morning. Leah sat on the bench that afternoon. No dew, no shadows lurking, just a mug of cocoa and the sun on her face. She handed me the old printed curfew policy. This doesn't mean anything anymore. I do. Then she tossed it in the trash, not a second thought. The city posted the inspection results online. Fines. Mandatory restructuring. A third-party mediator. Franklin, now interim president, promised nothing would get buried. I didn't run for the board. I didn't need the title. I just needed the silence to feel like peace again. Neighbors who used to look away now wave. One mom told me her son asked to ride his bike at dusk again. I said yes. She smiled because we don't punish kids for being kids anymore. That's the legacy Patricia left behind, fear dressed up as safety, and she would have kept winning if nobody followed the wires, if nobody said no. But Leah said it first, then me, then Franklin, and then one by one everyone else remembered this is our home, not theirs. So yeah, sometimes victory's quiet, a kid on her own porch under her own light, not afraid. That's enough for me. But tell me, would you have stood up? Where's the line for you between safety and control? Drop a comment, share your thoughts, because honestly, the only thing that keeps a community safe is when people speak up. When someone somewhere decides to follow the wire and flip the switch.